Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/EntitledPeople for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my opinions at the end, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Free to feel good. My sister thought she could pay me below a living wage to move away from my life and take care of her child. Years ago, after my sister had her first child, she had a hard time with childcare. She lives in the middle of nowhere, an hour outside of her nearest big city. She wanted to hire a nanny to watch her child for 40 hours a week, but not pay them a livable wage. She was complaining to me. I told her I understood her frustration with childcare being expensive, but also was trying really hard to not validate her belief that someone would work full-time in poverty. It really wasn't worth fighting over. Until she said, I could move you here, from another state, for less than that to take care of him. I immediately responded by laughing at her and saying, no, you couldn't, and refusing to agree on that point while she sputtered an attempt at a rebuttal. I completely deflated her until she just changed the subject. It was never brought up again. She did eventually find someone. I am child-free by choice. There is no amount of money that would make me become a nanny for her. Edit. I didn't mention the father because this is a summary of a phone conversation he wasn't a part of. I also never said she couldn't afford it, just that she didn't want to pay it. You all are weird for assuming anything else. He works. She works. They need childcare. It's really not any deeper than her not wanting to pay the necessary costs for childcare. First time on Reddit. Well, I do have my fair share of tinfoil hat theories and, like to see if I can draw conclusions or strings. Reddit makes assumptions, then presents them as fact, and then tries to make you disprove the negative. It, can drive me up a fucking wall. There's a difference between a tinfoil hat theory as to, pose a question and acting as though the tinfoil hat theory is gospel. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't made this mistake in the past, because I am, after all, human, but I do at least try to adapt and change from that, and improve to make sure that I'm not doing this. Now, about this story, love the idea of a family member looking you in the eyes and say, I could get you to move states and work under minimum wage for me to raise my kid. As a tinfoil hat theory, in kind of a weird way, you just learned how your sister feels about you and how she actually sees you. Like, you spelled out to her that she's trying to make someone work under minimum wage and be in full-time poverty, and she looked you right in the eyes and said, but I could make you do that for me. Like, I'm not crazy. That's the vibe that this gives off, right? Mina Ninja. Parent leaves baby in her car, acts like I'm the problem. So today I saw a baby left alone in the car while I was in the grocery store parking lot. I couldn't risk it. How was I supposed to know how long the baby had been in there or what could happen? So, of course, I called the police. She comes running out of the store when she sees them by her car, apparently located by announcing her plate over the store PA. And then, she's fuming. Her excuse? My baby was asleep. I didn't want to wake him up. I was only out for 5 minutes. Yeah, sure. You never know what can happen to a baby in 5 minutes, but what really got me was the nasty look she kept giving me while the officer was reprimanding her. Like somehow this was my fault. The nerve! Some people really think the world revolves around them, even when a baby's safety is at stake. As dark as it is to say, that 5-minute nap could have been permanent, forever, and we also have no way to know if it was actually 5 minutes or not. I'm inclined to believe that 5-minute excuse is just that, an excuse, and it was more than likely a lot longer, but she said 5 minutes to attempt to save face. Because when we really break down the timeline here, the baby would have had to be in the car for an undisclosed amount of time. OP would have had to walk by, notice it, call the police would have had to arrive. Store then would have had to announce it over the PA system. The mother in question would then need to exit the store and then make her way to the car. Unless OP stumbled upon the baby while the mother was still walking into the store from the parking lot, and the police arrived in under 2 minutes, that 5 minutes is complete bullshit. Don't do this. It's incredibly irresponsible, and even on a nice, temperate day where it's only 70 degrees, a car can still be a death trap. The moment the internal temperature of the car crosses above 104 degrees Fahrenheit, it becomes fatal for the infant. Even in 70-degree weather, it can take less than 30 minutes for it to reach above 104 degrees Fahrenheit. And right now, it's September. Several states and countries still have weather well above the 70s right now. So my question is, if it weren't for the cops showing up and for the PA system announcing the license plate, how long would she have actually been in there? Shopping. OP did the right thing here. And for the European people in my audience, that would be 21 degrees Celsius for 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and 40 degrees Celsius for 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The Quarantinian. My hit and run sent a teen to a hospital and rehab for a year. Give me money to fix it. A young Michigan teen was hit by a driver just weeks before the start of school. The driver fled the scene, leaving the young boy on the side of the road. A year later, he's still unable to speak but might be home by Christmas. After a year of hiding, she was finally caught and arraigned earlier this week. News media covering the story discovered that she had set up 2 GoFundMe pages to help get Grandma back on the road and for Grandma's car repair fund. Her car was damaged but drivable. Her GoFundMe campaigns were active up until the media reported on them and were taken offline shortly after. The suspect has been arraigned on felony charges, faces 5 years in prison, and her trial is pending. Comment from Snoo2305. For more information, link to the news article. From the article, now the teen's parents are asking the community for patience when it comes to Madison's court proceedings. Quote, I feel bad for her to a certain point because I know at this point it's gotta be hard to realize that you may be going to jail for a long time, Jack Corrington said. But on the other hand, a lot of me, I'm glad it's happened now and it's over with so Dakota can get justice too. Even though she did what she did to him. She's still a human being and I do want people not to be aggressive towards her. Let the courts handle what they need to handle for it. A judge set a $10,000 bond for Madison on August 21st. She's due back in court on August 27th. User Beard Dude Rocco responds, I read the post and expected it to be some 85-year-old woman based on the whole money for grandma's car and all that jazz. I'm not saying it excuses anything, but I'd have more sympathy for an older person who maybe thought they bit a deer or something like that. But nope. This woman looks to be in her 40s, 50s, and literally left a kid to die. It's absolutely shameful. So I checked out the links to the news articles just to make sure the authenticity of the story because this is a pretty fucked up story, to say the least. This was a woman in her 40s or 50s and literally left a child to die on the road and set up a GoFundMe to get her back on the road after doing so and after being in hiding for nearly a year. Now, in the process of going through and reading some of the news articles, I stumbled upon the family's GoFundMe page. And with the news article verifying the GoFundMe's authenticity, I've gone and donated $100 to it. And I will also be linking it in the description down below if you would also like to help contribute. I know that this isn't something that I normally do, and I wish I could do it more often, but if I were to do this for every post, I wouldn't be able to pay my own bills. But this is a bit of a unique circumstance, and there is a way to directly contribute and help, and I don't know. I'm left in this boat where I feel guilty for not doing more with my channel, I guess is the end result here. In a selfish way, I guess I'm hoping that my audience will be able to help pick up the slack where I'm lacking. So if you have the means to, please go look at the pinned comment below and maybe help give this family a bit of a much-deserved break. Jitter Taco. Entitled guest threatened my career over pasta at a charity event. I'm a 32 female chef. I work in a restaurant, but also get hired for big events, weddings, galas, fundraisers. These jobs aren't like the restaurant service. Everything is decided weeks before. The menu, portions, prep. We don't just freestyle dishes for whoever asks, because it throws off service and breaks contract. Anyway, I was running plating at a charity gala last week, 2 weeks ago, when this woman, maybe mid-40s, dripping in designer clothes, waves me over and demands truffle pasta. It wasn't on the menu. I told her politely the menu was set and I couldn't make her something different. She didn't hesitate to get angry immediately. Told me a real chef makes what the guests want. Then added, "You're just the help with a fancy knife set. Don't act like you're above me." That one hurt more than I expected. I've been in kitchens over a decade. I've worked insane hours, burned myself, lost sleep, dealt with constant stress, and she boiled all of that down to just the help. But I bit my tongue and kept working. She didn't stop though. She kept coming back to me during service, complaining louder each time. At one point, she cornered me, telling me I'd ruined the vibe and that she'd make sure I never worked another gala again. People actually overheard because she was raising her voice. I felt so small, like I wanted to disappear. It got heated enough that my sous chef had to step in. Thankfully, the event coordinator had my back. They told her straight up I was doing my job as contracted and she was out of line. Still, word got back to me later that she's been talking trash about me to people in that same social circle, calling me uncooperative and difficult. In our business, reputation is everything, so even though I know I did nothing wrong, it's terrifying that one entitled person can do real damage. And you know what's wild? This was a charity gala. She was there to support a cause but lost her mind over not getting custom pasta. Truffle custom pasta, mind you. And honestly, I'm not surprised it's a charity gala either and she has that kind of attitude. This is probably someone who pretty much has defined themselves by their, materialistic appearance and more than likely has drowned themselves in leases and loans and debts and, doesn't really have much to show for their success beyond the materialistic aspects of their life. Oh, look how fancy I am eating truffle pasta at the charity gala. I had an ex like this, and they were someone who played ball with people who were exactly like this. All of them constantly ending up further and further in financial debt just to one-up each other on how nice their car was or the new Louis Vuitton designer purse or shit like that. It's insufferable and annoying. And there are people out there who their entire happiness is defined by how jealous other people are of them. And this person right there, that's one of them. They are miserable outside of their materialistic appearance. I promise you that. Don't let the snob who bitches about not getting truffle pasta at a charity event hold you down. Because that's what people are going to take away from that. And chances are, the people who she's venting to know what she's like. I don't know if this would actually be any kind of consolation here, but chances are, you might be worried about what she's saying about you and how it might affect your reputation, but a week from now, it's going to be something else. She'll have moved on, and her friends will be hearing about the next thing. And chances are, there was something before you that she was venting and complaining about. There always is. There always is. Mary Keta, won't bother being a friend, but wants my daughter to stay with her and help her. This happened a few years ago, but yesterday I was reminded of it when talking to my son. My daughter, 38, was friends with a girl back when she was 11 to 14. They were very close. They'd stay over at each other's houses and go on outings. They'd call and message each other. She was really my daughter's best friend and the only friend that she did stuff with on a regular basis. The friend enrolled in a different school, but didn't move. Quickly, as in a week or two, she quit calling or messaging my daughter. My daughter would try to set things up for them to do like normal, but the girl didn't return calls often. There was always a reason. I think that they got together once or twice during the months after she started at school. The friendship faded, abruptly stopped. My daughter was heartbroken. The two of them never had a fight or a disagreement. And years later, my daughter ran into the girl at college. My daughter tried to get together with the girl, but she was too busy with friends and other stuff to bother. My daughter shrugged it off and wasn't surprised. My daughter even tried to stay connected through Facebook, but it went nowhere. Fast forward 20 years later, give or take a year. The girl's mother is messaging me on Facebook and trying to contact my daughter. It was odd as I hadn't heard from the mother in many years. We, my family, including my daughter, moved several states away during that time. I ignored the message for a few days, thinking she just wanted to be Facebook friends or something, which I didn't do other than with my family. Well, she persisted. And finally, I responded. It seems that her daughter, the former friend of my daughter, had gotten married and had a baby recently. She somehow broke her leg. The mother was wanting my daughter to go stay a couple months with the former friend and help take care of her and the baby. We now live about 10 hours away from where the former friend now lives, which is closer than where her mom does. My daughter said no, of course. She has a life here and can't just drop everything and go out of state for a couple of months. Plus, they hadn't talked in nearly 20 years. The mom couldn't accept the answer and kept badgering her. She explained that they hadn't talked and haven't been friends in 20 years, that she should have her sisters go stay with her. She has too, rather than someone who is basically a stranger. The mom kept at it and started urgently messaging me to convince my daughter to go. I told my daughter to block her, and I did too. I'm still puzzled as to why the mom and daughter would think my daughter would go there and take care of her and the baby. Where are all those friends who are better than my daughter? Honestly, that's a wonderful question to ask. Honestly, my personal pet theory is that the daughter's ex-friend had burned pretty much every bridge imaginable just through random shit like this. And eventually, after all the bridges are burned, she's walked down the line of memory lane and stumbled upon the friend from 20 fucking years ago. The mother doesn't want to help for some reason, and has opted in aiding the daughter in finding someone to help her with her current situation, which just happens to be someone from 20 years ago, because apparently there's no one else. Hence the additional sense of desperation as well, because honestly, this situation here is the only one that actually makes sense as to why this is happening. Because other than that, I'm pretty baffled and kerfuffled here as to why this would even happen. Gleeforth. Rich developer demanded I break safety laws to save money, then tried to ruin me when I said no. On a throwaway because I can't risk this being connected to me at work. I'm a 38-year-old female structural engineer. I've been doing this for a decade, and my entire job is to make sure buildings don't fall down and kill people. That means following strict codes, running endless calculations, and refusing to cut corners. Safety comes first, always. 6 months ago, I was leading the structural design for a 15-story office building in a seismic zone. The client, let's call him Eric, is a wealthy developer who made it clear, from the beginning, that he only cared about cutting costs and speeding up construction. The breaking point came during a project meeting when he demanded we reduce the thickness of the foundation slabs by 20% to save time and money. As an already experienced engineer, I explained calmly that doing so would violate code and put the building at serious risk if an earthquake hit. I even showed him the soil report and calculations backing it up. He looked at me like I was stupid. He lost it, slammed the table, accused me of being overly dramatic because I'm a woman, and said, "Real engineers know how to bend the rules." When I told him I could lose my license if I signed off unsafe work, he laughed and said I was talking like a baby. I stood my ground. He kept yelling, saying I was costing him money, threatening to fire me and find someone else. It turned into a 45-minute shouting match. I was shaking by the end, but I refused to budge. After that, he started a smear campaign, emailing my bosses, calling me unstable, even trying to pull strings with the city to claim our designs were over-engineered. But thank goodness, my firm backed me up and eventually dropped him as a client. His threats of a lawsuit went nowhere because we had airtight documentation. The emotional toll has been awful. Panic attacks, sleepless nights, constant second-guessing. I've dedicated my career to protecting people, and one entitled guy with too much money almost made me walk away from it all. Such entitlement like this wastes time and annoys people like me, and I know it puts lives at risk. Too long didn't read, rich developer demanded I ignore safety codes to save him money. I refused, he tried to ruin me, but my firm backed me up. Good on OP for refusing to cut corners and sticking it up to a client where, honestly, he could have done a lot of damage to OP's life, and Thankfully, OP's firm is of sound mind and willing to lose a big bucks client to make sure that their ass is covered and one of their engineers isn't being screwed over. That's awesome to see, and it's probably gotta feel really good knowing they've got your back. Honestly, fuck that developer, and hopefully he gets caught or something happens to him before he ends up putting lives at risk and he finds the right engineer to cut corners for him. Because that dude's gonna shave off a couple $1,000 and people are gonna die because of him. Gigi to KEYZ. Highly entitled neighbor. My husband, 67-year-old Mike, unfortunately has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and has great difficulty with his speech. He has a hard time getting his words out to express himself. Our former neighbors started renting out their property about 2 years ago. Our current neighbors have been there approximately 6 months. Their lease directs that they're responsible for their own lawn care. We own a very nice zero-turn mower. Mike absolutely loves mowing our lawn. We have met them, and they have been made clearly aware of Mike's diagnosis and difficulties. At the beginning of the mowing season a few months ago, the neighbor, Sue, around 70 years female, saw Mike cleaning our mower. She walked right up to him and said, "Hey Mike, we don't have a mower, and we're thinking you could mow our yard when you mow yours. We'll buy the gas for ours." Not a word about paying for his efforts and time, or the wear and tear of maintenance on the mower. No mention of what happens if there's damage to the mower on their property. Nothing beyond paying for their gas. Mike's response was a few stutters, but he couldn't form a response. This nutty Sue then knocks on my door and informs me to remind Mike to begin mowing her lawn each time he mows ours, because he just agreed to do it for the cost of gas for theirs. I gave a rumbling laugh and set her entitled ass straight. No one takes advantage of my husband. That's an A+ wife right there. Hell yeah. I'm actually kind of just left genuinely thinking if she actually thought that because she got a weird stuttered response from Mike, who she was very aware of the condition he has, thought that it was a surefire checkmate that because he agreed, now he has to mow the lawn for the cost of the gas. What a killer deal I got, right? Anyways, here's the reminder to tell him to go mow the lawn for us when he goes out there and does it. Thank you. Like, did she actually think that would work? That because she took advantage of someone with Alzheimer's disease, that now she gets her lawn mowed for just like a gallon of gas? Really? Just vile. And I really wish I could have gotten the details on how OP set her straight, but I'm still happy that she stood up for her husband. Because, yeah, what a gross neighbor. Week currency 6453. Is my neighbor taking the piss with my outdoor socket? Came home a few times last week to find an extension lead snaking from my neighbor's garage into the socket on the back of my house. I unplugged it the first time and figured it was an honest mistake. Then I got him doing it again. I had a quiet word, said, "Mate, that's my Làtchi you're using. It's on my meter." He just laughed it off and said it's only pennies, and the estate management covers it anyway. It definitely does not. He did it again while I was out, so I've now fitted a lockable cover over the socket. This morning, I find a note through my letterbox saying I've blocked the community socket. He'll need to charge his e-bike inside my house when it rains. And could I leave my back gate unlocked for him on Saturday? The absolute cheek! I'm not trying to cause a war here. I even offered to go halves on getting a Sparky to fit an outdoor socket on his own wall and he refused. Now I hear he's telling other neighbors I'm being tight. Have I gone over the top by locking it, or is he just a cheeky sod? I don't know whether to just ignore him or ring 101 for advice. This is just mad. I'm gonna be 100% real here. I only understood maybe about half of the slang. I know Làtchi means electricity, and Sparky probably means socket, or outlet, or just getting some electricity to it. I don't know. I would really appreciate a translation in the comments, but from what I understand, yeah, your neighbor is taking the piss out of you, and this is just goofy as hell. This guy is literally plugging into your house and taking your electricity and being like, "Oh, it's the community outlet and you're locking it? Well, you're gonna have to leave your house unlocked for me now so I can charge my bike inside." Like, do you not have electricity, my man? What's going on here? Why can't you charge it inside your house, huh? Fable Crunch. Entitled customer tried to return a used grill because it didn't make burgers juicy enough. I work at a local home goods store, and I just had to share this wild encounter with one of the most entitled customers I've ever met. So, this guy comes in last weekend, dragging a big, obviously used grill back to the returns counter. He's complaining that the grill didn't make his burgers juicy enough, and that he wants a full refund. I'm standing there like, sir? Did you use it? He admits he grilled on it for a whole weekend. I explained our return policy. We don't accept returns on used grills because, well, it's a health and safety thing. Plus, the product clearly shows signs of use. He starts getting loud, saying he's a loyal customer and that we should just make an exception for him. I calmly tell him that loyalty doesn't override store policy and that if he's unhappy with the grill's performance, maybe he should try different recipes or check the settings. He then says, no, it's the grill's fault because it didn't make his burgers juicy. At this point, other customers are staring and I'm just trying not to laugh. I offer to help him find a different grill or accessories that might help, but he storms out, muttering about how this store has no customer service. Honestly, I've dealt with a lot of entitled people, but expecting a refund on a used grill because your cooking skills aren't up to par? That's a new level. Anyone else had customers blame the product for their own mistakes? How do you keep your cool? Wasn't Labor Day weekend recently? I wonder what the chances are that he just, bought the grill, used it for a party, and then returned it with some piss-poor excuse that the burgers weren't juicy enough. He probably does the spatula press technique and pushes the moisture out of it and is now complaining. Like, dude, this is actually just a skill issue. If I can make a burger juicy on a charcoal grill, you can make a burger juicy on what I assume to be a propane grill. And that's playing on easy mode. Well, actually, playing on easy mode is having a griddle top, but that's a whole other story right there. Like, this either puts the guy in two categories, both of which are just shameful as hell. Either he just wanted to use the grill for the party over the weekend and then wanted to return it afterwards like nothing would happen, and came up with a shitty excuse, or he doesn't know how to cook and is blaming his tools. Like, I wonder if he served the burgers to the guests and they're like, hey, this is a little dry. Yeah, well, it's the damn grill's fault, not mine. Yeah, probably just gonna return it because it sucks. One of them is funny, one of them is sad. But again, this is actually just a skill issue. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code OZ at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.